Think you know what's going to happen in the big game? Call it with DraftKings Predictions, a new app where you can make real money predictions on football's biggest game. DraftKings Predictions is new, simple to use, and available in your state. Download now. New DraftKings Predictions customers get up to a $75 first trade bonus with promo code SPOTIFY. DraftKings Predictions is a CFTC registered introducing broker. Event contract trading involves substantial risk of loss. One for new customer. Opt-in required. Non-withdrawable predictions dollars expire in 1 year. Ends February 8th, 2026. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at dkng.co/predictions promo.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm Ashley Nelson and you're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
Buongiorno, ciao from Milan. Let the games begin. I've said that before. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. I'm Michael.
And I'm John, and we talk about the Olympics and the Paralympics all the time, not once every 4 years like everybody else does.
So the opening ceremony back in a stadium, back in a bang. Numerous parades worked well on TV too. I think the organisers got it right.
Yeah, away from the dancing and the prancing, we round up the latest sport headlines, including a high five for British curlers and the return on the slopes of Lindsey Vonn.
Now, it may be day one, but we've got tomorrow's news today. So we'll be hearing from a British Olympian who's making his 5th winter appearance.
I am Andrew Musgrave, one of Team GB's cross-country skiers who will be racing at Milano Cortina.
With the rest of the news from the games.
This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. Download, listen, do give us a follow, pass it on, share the link and let your friends and your fellow Olympic fans, even the ones that just get excited about this once every 4 years, tell them where we are.
Hi, I'm Eve Muirhead. I'm chef de mission. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
Well, benvenuto to Italy. Welcome to Italy. It sounds a little bit like I'm doing the scores on the Eurovision Song Contest. When I say that, so I'm not sure we should make that a
nil point
feature of the... Do you know what? That's the first mention of the Eurovision Song Contest of at least another one I've got planned for this podcast. So
okay.
That comes up later. I'm here. We are in Milan, arrived obviously late yesterday, just on the eve of the opening ceremony as well. I knew I was in an Olympic city, massive Olympic rings at the airport when you arrive. And
brilliant. It
was interesting actually because I obviously had to go and get my sort of accreditation, my Olympic parcel sorted.
Yeah.
And then one of the volunteers, and there was a good number of volunteers there, then took me to the train station, walked me down to where I needed to be to make sure I got on the right platform, had the right ticket and everything. But you walk through this little area at the airport, between the airport and the train station. The Olympic rings are there, and there were squeals of excitement from people. And I'm
not just you.
Well, no, I'm not just talking about people like me that are here to kind of work, and this is what we do, but just everybody that was walking down, they were all obviously rushing to get their photos and their selfies. The volunteer didn't give me that time because I had to go and get my train. So I'll have to go back and do that picture at some other point. But and then I got on the train, and then I pop up obviously in Milan, in the centre of Milan. And it felt like there was a buzz about the place. And I go back to what I always say to you about the buzz of opening ceremony night, which is the helicopters. You could hear and see the helicopters buzzing overhead, and you could see and hear the police cars and the motorcades as well, because there was obviously a load of road closures. I'm actually staying quite near the San Siro Stadium, so there's not a lot you can do driving around in this part of Milan at the minute. So yeah, the combination of that police and security presence, which was obviously fairly heavy, and the helicopters overhead, you did feel obviously, and seeing the rings, that you were walking into an Olympic city. It was exciting.
And you were helped then by one of the 18,000 volunteers that were mentioned in that opening ceremony. I think that, I mean, obviously, the issue is you've got 6 clusters. So there's so many people in so many different areas. And we saw that in the opening ceremony. And you mentioned it in the intro that, yeah, we had these different parades. But actually, I thought that worked really well. I think if you were sitting in the San Siro, there would be less people coming through and it would look a bit empty at times. But from a TV spectacle, and this was a big thing, they said logistically, this was one of the hardest opening ceremonies to do because of the parades in different places and the flag bearers. But I actually think it worked. And it was nice to see so many athletes. I spotted Gus Kenworthy in Milan, for example, for Team GB. But then you could see all the bobsleigh guys in Cortina and the freestyle skiers and snowboarders in Livigno, and it felt like the first time that everybody who wanted to go to an opening ceremony really could.
Yeah, I think you probably saw more of it and probably understood and had more of it explained than I did, sort of watching it from this side, because obviously we didn't have the benefit of watching it here from the English language commentary, following it along on the media guide that we got sent. But you've got to remember the opening ceremony is essentially a TV show. It's a TV spectacle. And I'm sure today, as we open our morning newspapers or go online and read some of our morning news reports, and this is a point you made on a WhatsApp message to me last night, there will be people pointing the finger at some empty seats at the San Siro Stadium and saying there weren't that many athletes at the San Siro Stadium. That's because they were sat in the San Siro Stadium. And actually that opening ceremony is not aimed at the tens of thousands in the San Siro Stadium. It's aimed at the billions around the world. And I agree with you. I thought it worked really well as a TV spectacle. I thought had lots of colour, felt vibrant, felt fresh, obviously very different to what Paris did.
Yeah.
I've already seen a few people saying, you know what, the ambition of Paris actually was more than matched by what Milan did inside the stadium yesterday. I think those of us that follow Olympic sport are creatures of habit, and the change, the switch up for Paris, I think obviously for a lot of people a little bit set in their ways. It was just a little bit too much. You quite liked the speech from the leader of the organising committee, Giovanni Malago.
I did.
The equivalent of Seb Coe. I thought he went on a bit personally. I thought it went on but predictably the Italians absolutely loved it. And what was interesting as well last night in Milan, because it didn't end with the massive fireworks spectaculars that perhaps we've seen in the past, because I think again we realised that those massive fireworks displays are again not great for the environment, not great for pets, and essentially literally just blowing a load of money up. But what was interesting in Milan after the ceremony officially finished was lots of firework displays broke out across the city. So that pride piece that we've said before about opening ceremonies, it was clear here in Milan that the people of Milan had pride in what they'd seen in their city, and they were going to have their fireworks parties anyway.
Well, it was one of the reasons why I liked his speech, because I think his quote that I wrote down was, "I've never been as proud as an Italian as I have tonight." And I could see it in his eyes. And as you said, you could then see it from the people around him, the people in the city. And frankly, it reminded me of being in Paris and watching the opening ceremony when you were getting soaking wet and I was safely back in my hotel after being under the cement mixer and the digger in the cement works. That watching the French TV when the French TV presenters were in tears about what they delivered. And so, yeah, you can sit there and say that it didn't work in Paris, mainly because of the rain, let's be honest. But they tried something different and it didn't work. And it was nice to have a traditional opening ceremony in a stadium. I'm not sure you can beat the rings coming together in a stadium like we saw last night. But his speech reminded me of Paris, the French in tears, and it actually made me think back to London 2012 and sitting there on top of the car park while the opening ceremony was going on and Paul McCartney was off key. It reminded me of how amazing it felt to be in London that night as well. And the Olympics is just brilliant. That's what I love about it. It just brings, the whole speech is about bringing people together, and I feel like it does.
And if you put Italian TV on, late last night and this morning, it's reruns it's on every channel. All you're seeing at the moment is that image of the rings coming together, the flag and the torch and everything else. I mean, interesting you talk about London 2012. I think if there was a rare misstep in London 2012, I think having the cauldron in the stadium was one of them. And actually here having the cauldrons on display, part of the cityscape, and obviously having one here and one in Cortina as well. I think that is a really good, easy, neat way of bringing the games to the people. And I remember having that wander that morning in Paris and going out to the Tuileries Gardens and seeing the globe and just seeing again that opportunity for the people of Italy, the people of Milan, the people of Cortina to just go and have that pride and see it and witness it, and obviously then mix with all these visitors from around the world. So yeah, I thought it was a shame actually that London hid their cauldron away, because they kind of lit it. Then we didn't see it for days because it was in a stadium being transformed for athletics, and it would have been fantastic to have had it either on the edge of the park or even in the centre of London in Hyde Park, somewhere like that. But as I said,
I know you'll be going to the Archpiece tonight in Milan, probably to get the first photo for anything but footy of the cauldron.
As an assignment.
I thought it was really interesting as well. Just on some of the other things in the ceremony. It's bad news for Michael, because Milan, as you saw with the lots of multicoloured coffee pots, they're massively into their coffee, and you're a tea drinker, aren't you? So.
Yeah, and Mariah Carey. Singing Volare, or as I like to think of it, the song that came third for Italy in the Eurovision Song Contest in the 1980s. I mean, I mentioned a rare misstep for the opening ceremony of London 2012 was the cauldron. The other one, of course, was not having Gina G doing ooh ah just a little bit, because if we are going to set that precedent of Eurovision Song Contest songs in the opening ceremony, then that for me, that or Love City Groove would have been the one.
What a classic that was. I thought Mariah Carey looked a little spaced out, frankly. I'm not quite sure she knew really where she was. But anyway, Valentino Rossi, driver of the tram, as they were bringing the president to the stadium. That was their Beck's moment there on his boat, or when the Queen jumped out of the helicopter moment. Giorgio Armani, of course, passed in December. I thought that tribute on the giant runway with all these models in the red and the white and the green of the Italian flag, that was pretty spectacular. Again, when you do it in a stadium, it just looks great. It just looks amazing. And the other thing I thought, just on the parade, firstly, how on earth did Japan and Jamaica go ahead of Great Britain? Oh, because in Italy, the J is a G. So they paraded before Grand Britannia. So that was interesting to see that. But what I loved about the parades in each of the locations is they came out of the same ring. So in the San Siro, you had the rings up in the sky at the stadium, but you had the kind of half ring that they walked through. And then all the others did that in their locations as well. So again, from a TV point of view, you didn't really think, oh, they're in a different place, but clearly they were.
Yeah, and I mean, watching the monitors here of Italian TV, they obviously captioned, where they were, which cluster they were in, and everything. Did you see one of the French athletes slip?
Yeah,
you saw that as well then, as they came in. I thought brilliant from Great Britain. There seemed to be a huge turnout across the clusters for the team. So many faces that we recognised there from having spoken to them, the podcast. I thought the bobsleigh guys with Brad Hall, of course, who was carrying the flag, and then Lila, who was carrying it in the San Siro as well. Yeah, really good. I just thought the parade, you've also got to remember with the winter parade, it's 92 countries. The summer parade 200 plus, so it's over twice as long. And also, there's much bigger teams go to the summer games. Bit of booing,
definitely.
for the US, wasn't there? Definitely.
Yeah. Not the athletes. So when they first came into the San Siro, because I was watching, it was cheers for the athletes. As soon as they put the vice president and his wife on the big screen, that is when it changed. And actually, then when they went to some of the others, the Cortina and the like, there were booing in those places, Livigno as well. So it was clear, and that is not a surprise. For example, when the NBA came to London, I think the other week, Sadiq Khan was booed, but so was JD Vance, and that's the level that we're at the moment. That everyone just boos everybody, it seems, but. It was clear, and I think The Americans just have to be slightly aware of that
Yeah.
moving forward.
Huge reception for Ukraine.
Yeah.
A huge reception from most of the European countries. Interestingly, being from Great Britain, being English, if we had our home nations competing at the Olympic Games, I'm not sure we would be as supportive
No.
of each other. I don't think. I mean, you get it at the Commonwealth Games. You never get boos, for example.
No.
But yeah, it felt quite supportive when the likes of Germany and Switzerland and others were parading. And I thought, obviously, at the end, as we always know, there's always this big coming together moment when the host nation paraded. It's a lovely tradition that the host nation just come out last.
Yeah, absolutely. And 196 athletes for Italy. It shows the scale of them. And I was talking actually to one of the athletes yesterday, and you'll hear it, of course, in the course of the podcast in the next few days, but just about how important it is that you've got a winter sport nation that's hosting the Winter Olympics. And I think he kind of looked at me a bit strangely. It was Matteo Jenison, the mogul skier, and it was like, well, obviously a Winter Olympics host is going to be good at Winter Olympics. But my argument to that would be that, well, China wasn't massively into it until they decided to be into it and the like. So I think it just feels, again, going back to what we said, a traditional feel to the games. And this is Italy's fourth Olympics, third Winter Olympics. And it does feel like home a little bit.
And the highlight for me,
Go on.
Andrea Bocelli, Nessun Dorma. That moment.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
that song is special for all of us that remember the World Cup, the Men's Football World Cup being held in Italy in 1990 with David O'Leary's penalty, Pat Bonner's save for Ireland, and Gazza's tears, and
Gary Lineker.
yeah, with
Bobby,
the eye.
you need to look out for Gaza.
Stuart Pearson, Chris Waddle. I think I
Oh.
spotted those balls still in the sky over Italy last night. But just yeah, the way that because a lot of people don't remember that Pavarotti performed Nessun Dorma. I think it was his last ever public appearance actually when the games were in Torino 20 years ago. So I think Andrea Bocelli is the natural successor, and that is a song I think now that the globe gets and understands. So it has to be, I think, part of the opening ceremony. I just thought it was just an amazing, spine-tingling moment to witness.
And Baresi and Bergomi carried the torch in at that moment, didn't they? The great Italian defenders. I mean, I'm not sure you could beat them now. They still look pretty sturdy to me. I'm not sure we'd ever get past them.
Be the equivalent of like Alan Hansen and Mark Lawrenson bringing it in if Great Britain hosted again.
Or I think it might have been more David Beckham, but we'll move on.
I was just thinking about two defenders from the 80s and 90s.
Well, no, I think the fact that they both were capped 90 odd times for Italy and won something as well, which of course is quite unusual in English sport, not in British sport though, and that's what we're about to celebrate.
Gary Neville. We got Gary Neville to bring it in. He was capped about 90 times. Gary and Phil could do it.
People are listening to the podcast going, "You don't talk about football. You don't talk about football."
Anyway, I think we both agree a success.
Yeah, really good. And can't wait now for the games to get going.
Well, let's find out what the athletes thought of that opening ceremony. We've been speaking this morning to Team GB's Makayla Gerken Schofield about what she thought from her base in Livigno.
Yeah, I think it was quite nice that they actually did a ceremony in each
Cluster.
site. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gets like visibility for each athlete as well, and to kind of show your team. It was cool. I mean, I was holding the little Gran Britannia, which was quite cool. And yeah, it's just an honor to be able to represent my country.
And walking through that giant kind of ring, I thought worked really well.
Yeah, it was a cool sight, and then we had like loads of spectators in front of us, and walking through the ring was quite spectacular. Yeah.
Because I think some people go, "What was the opening ceremony for?" But from an athlete's point of view, this is the start of your very long journey, isn't it? You know, to get to this point.
Yeah, it as you said, it's a long journey to get here, and I think the open ceremony is a reminder that you made it, and it's actually like the beginning of the journey of the Olympics.
Absolutely. Talk to us about how you are in form. I was just looking at the GB Snowsport website, Makayla, before speaking to you, and it says a veteran of 5 World Championships. You're 26. You're not a veteran.
I feel like one, trust me. Everyone around here is in their teens, and I mean, I do feel like one, which is very odd because I am still young.
Moguls.
Yeah.
How would you describe the moguls? Because it's skiing, but it's also freestyle skiing as well, isn't it? It's a bit of everything.
It's a bit of everything because you've got jumps and then you've got the bumps. They're kind of different jumps regarding like comparing to big air and slopestyle. They're much smaller, but they pop compared to freestyle. It's much more smooth. And we're also landing into bumps instead of a smooth landing. It, I'd say we're a bit mental. I've heard that a lot, but it's fun. I love it.
How on earth do you not hurt your knees?
I have. I have been struggling with my knee for about 2 years. I had an operation to get a cyst removed on my ACL. Um, but it's part of it, it's part of the sport, and I wouldn't change it for anything. But what people don't realize is our back takes in a lot as well, because of all the impact from the landing of the jumps and then the bumps. So we do get a lower sore back, and we call it a mogul's back.
And am I right in saying as well, this time there's the opportunity to race in both the moguls and the dual moguls?
Yes, indeed. That is super exciting. The fact that we've got duels as well for the first time in the Olympics. I think it's for a spectator point of view, it's even more exciting because you're basically going against someone, and there's that thrill of who's going to get there first. But you've also got to realize that the judges are scoring you on your run down. It's not just all about speed.
You want to win, but you also want to do it in style.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we can't wait to support you as well and see you in action. Thank you so much for talking to us, and good luck.
Cheers, thank you.
This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. Tomorrow's news today for Team GB, and our other news from the games coming up next.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Hi, I'm Phoebe Becker.
I'm James Hernandez.
Team GB Figure Skaters.
You're listening to the latest on the Winter Olympics from
Anything But Footy.
This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy.
So while Michael was flying some of the main Team GB headlines as we start the games, I think you could say the curlers were flying as well. Top of the table and unbeaten in 5 matches. A big high five to Bruce Moat and Jen Dodds. They beat Korea in their second match on day 0, a more comfortable 8-2 victory. And they now know that they face the only other unbeaten side in the mixed doubles curling later today, the USA. It's going to be a big one. Canada, also the first opponents as we get close to sorting out those semi-finals. You've got to finish in the top 4. I think Bruce and Jenna are top of the table at the moment, but you've got to finish top 4 to get to the semi-finals.
Great Britain will resume 8th out of 10 in the team figure skating. After a brilliant third place that we mentioned yesterday with Lila and Lewis, only the top 5 will progress to the latter stages of this event. Anastasia Vipenlaw admitted they were a little disappointed with their 9th place in the pairs. Lots to work on before their competition next week. Luke Digby has been struggling, we understand, with a wrist injury since the Europeans in Sheffield. Says he's feeling better now, but hasn't worked as much on routines because of it. Christian Spurs says that she is delighted to finally call herself an Olympian. She finished 10th in the women's singles in that team event. She admits she's back home to see her husband and her cats after this one. I wonder which one was the priority there, which one she wanted to see first. She'll then return for the singles competition later on in the games. Again, a benefit of having a games which is so close to home. US, Japan, Italy are in the lead, with Georgia not far behind as the men's singles. So that is going to be Ed Appleby for Team GB. That takes place later on. Depending on what happens there, we might also see Lewis and Lila in the free dance later on today. But as I said, that means that GB have to move up in the table. They're currently 8th and only the top 5 will go through.
Lindsey Vonn is back on skis and completed the official training run for the women's downhill on Sunday. Not the fastest time, as you'd expect. 1 minute
pretty
40.
Quick.
Yeah, it was. But she wasn't fastest, is what I'm trying to say. But I wouldn't expect her to. She was trying it out. Basically, her coach says it's now what's happening in the hotel. That's the key moment. Will she be back today for the final run before, of course, getting to the starting gate on Sunday? He says we need to see how her injured knee responds. But look, she safely finished, and we really, really hope that we'll get to see her in this downhill in Cortina. Now, Japan and Switzerland were also the latest winners in the women's ice hockey.
This is Milano Daily, time for TNT. That is tomorrow's news today. The mixed doubles in curling will come to an end with 2 matches against Switzerland and then defending champions Italy. So they will bring the programme down for Bruce and Jen. And I say that hopefully just in the round robin stage. They will hopefully proceed. John's been saying women's downhill, 10:30 Sunday morning, UK time. We do have listeners around the world. And an hour later, you've got the cross-country skiing at the Tercero Ski Stadium. So that is the men's 10K and the 10K skiathlon. So you're Anna Price in that one today for Team GB, the first Great British woman on the World Cup circuit since 2019. But as we're talking tomorrow's news today, it's the men's that we are focusing on there. And Britain's Andrew Musgrave has been telling John that he's looking forward to making another Olympic appearance.
Number 5, yes. Getting old. It feels good. We're going to be racing on a European track that I know well, and I think it's a sort of venue that suits me, so I'm very much looking forward to it.
You talk about the European course. Why is it an advantage?
It's a track that I know, and I think the atmosphere is going to be very different than when we've been racing in Asia the last 2 times. There's not really a massive tradition of cross-country skiing. Beijing was obviously a COVID games, and there was nobody watching, there was no atmosphere, and it was just a bit of a weird experience. And so I think the contrast with going back to Europe, where there's a massive tradition of skiing, there'll be crowds that know what's going on when they're watching, and it's just going to be a bit of a more atmospheric event, I think.
Was Beijing the hardest Olympics for the example that you just gave?
Every Olympics is hard in its own way, I suppose, or the racing is always hard. I think Beijing was just a bit boring because we were stuck up a mountain and it was absolutely freezing. It was like -20 or even colder than -20 every day. It was windy. It was so slow, snow, and it was just it wasn't the experience you dream of when you're like a child watching the Olympics. So coming back here is going to be very nice.
We mentioned it's your 5th games. Tell us about your first games and looking back, how much has it changed? The sport of cross country, how much have you changed? What about British cross country?
It's changed massively. So when I went to the 2010 games, I was still a junior, and there hadn't been any British skiers for almost, I think it must have been about 20 years racing at the Olympics, and so there was sort of no history of skiing that I knew of, and I felt like we were just a small little group of people just starting from scratch, and we hadn't got a clue what we were up to. So we were just these absolute faffers at the start, turning up, and people were wondering who on earth these Brits were, and we weren't there to compete. We were there as a learning experience to develop the sport. And 4 years later, we were completely different. We were a professional team, and we progressed year on year from then. And now we are proper competitors when we turn up at the games, and we are going to be there. And there's 3 males and 1 female that are going to be competing properly at the sport.
And I know this is probably a slightly cheeky question, but because the 5th is about to happen, but have you thought about a 6th?
Oh, I get asked that quite often, and I've definitely thought about it, but I haven't got a clue if I'm going to be doing the 6th Olympics. At the moment, I'm really enjoying skiing still. I feel like there's areas where I can progress so I can become a better skier, and I make it work financially. So if I can fulfill all those things, then there's nothing else I would rather do. But if I stop enjoying it, or I don't feel like I can progress, or I can't make it work financially, then I'll probably have to stop. But we'll see. I don't know what the future brings, but I could. Dave Ryden's still racing, and he's 4 years older than me, so that gives me hope for that. It's possible, at least.
You're
that I'm
still
gonna
a
be there in
youngster.
4 years' time.
You're still a youngster. Let's be honest.
To be honest, though, I hope that in 4 years' time, there's a British team full of younger skiers that are so strong that I really have to fight to get a spot on the team, and that maybe they're so good that I won't be getting a spot on the team. That would be ideal. If there's 4 guys that can fight for a medal at the games in 4 years, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned about Dave. He's got Laurie and Billy, who he's been working with through the winter and the last 3 or 4 years as well. And you've had the same, haven't you? You've got this team that you've been building.
Yeah, definitely. So this is the first time when there's been hard competition on the British team to make it to the Olympics. We've only got 3 quota spots, and there's been 5 of us on the team fighting for those 3 spots, and we've never had as competitive a team before. And that makes the dynamic on the team a little bit different, because as well as being teammates, you're also competitors. But I think we've managed that fairly well, and it's good for the team to have competition. It pushes you and makes you better, I think.
You mentioned, you want to be faster and guarantee that you go those 3 events. But what do you want to achieve, Andrew, in these 5th games?
I am not a medal favourite, but I'm one of the people that is definitely capable of getting a medal on all 3 distance events. So I want to go there and race at my best and be in the fight for a medal, and just pull out the best races that I can on all 3 of those races. If I don't come home with a medal, but I feel like I performed at my best, then I'll be happy. If I come home with a medal, then I will be even more happy.
Andrew Musgrave in the cross country, and good luck to Team GB in that. Also on Sunday for Team GB in tomorrow's News Today, we heard from them earlier in the week. Maisie Hill and X Games medalist Mia Brooks as well. They are in qualification for the women's big air snowboard. So they'll have runs 1, 2 and 3 in the Livigno snow park, looking to get to the final, of course, there. Brooks, of course, is an X Games champion.
Now, we always say, don't we, at the end of the podcast, please get in touch with us. And someone's got in touch with us.
They have, and thank you to this. We always want to hear your comments, however they come through, and this one came through Spotify, which is great. It's from no idea whose name it is. These things, you never know who the people are, but we appreciate it. Lexi, if it's you, or Connie, if it's you, she said, we just discovered this, absolutely love it. Thank you. It's going to be my companion throughout the games. You guys are great. And then a little bit of feedback, which we can take. She says we can totally hear the radio professionalism. Obviously, that's more Michael than me. But don't forget, you can cut a little looser with the humour on the pod, all for a bit of banter.
I wonder if Lexi Connie got the Eurovision Song Contest references.
We will see. There is plenty between us. We do tend to banter a little bit, don't we? But we thank you, as you say. And if you ever want to get in touch, please do so. You can always track us down in the usual places.
Yeah, we do actually get other people messaging in, but that one was just a nice one. Normally it's messages in. We get a lot of emails about football, don't we?
Yes.
we Would you like to speak to someone that played twice for Sunderland in the 1980s about insoles for shoes? And we go back to them and say, as our podcast is called Anything But Footy, probably not. But if you have any Olympic or Paralympic guests, then do let us know.
Here's a bit of bants for you. If they want to offer us Phil Neville, we'll interview him because he couldn't play football.
Well done. And that's the last use of the word bants on the podcast. It's now in the banned list. We will be here every day with our unique brand of humour, our Milano Daily, Team GB results, reaction, news, interviews, everything you need to know about the games, and tomorrow's news today, TNT. You can find us across all the social media platforms. You can listen to our music playlist, our Olympics music playlist on Spotify. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. I am here and John is adding Valari.
Hi, it's Niall Tracy here, Team GB short track speed skater. You are listening to the Olympics with Anything But Footy.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.